Okay, we'll go with that. Good evening, my lovelies, and a very warm welcome to Tuesday Night Live with me, your very own Boaty, coming into your eyes and ears over the next 59 minutes. And I remember to turn the sound down. Haven't I done well? And aren't I having a bad hair day? I really do need to get my hair sorted out. Goodness gracious me, there are lots of things I need to get sorted out, really, especially my bloody teeth. They're driving me mad. I can't wait to go to Turkey, get them all ripped out and get some nice new ones in there and look like Donald Trump on acid. Where was I? A very warm welcome to Tuesday Night Live, where I will be coming into your eyes and your ears direct from Windy Bottom here in a very windy indeed Peak District. It's been, I don't know what it's been like for you, but I woke up this morning and I looked outside. I mean, that's not, well, it kind of was the first thing I did. I can't help but look outside. If I open my eyes, then unless I'm facing the wrong way, and I'm not often, I tend to face towards the light. Then the first thing I do is look outside because I sleep with my curtains open. I can't bear to have the curtains closed. I like the curtains open. That was one of the problems with Chinese madam. She insisted on having them closed, and I insisted on having them open. And I'm bigger than her, but she was stronger than me. Anyway, that's enough of all that. A very good evening to you all. Thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, we can have, well, what can we do over the next 59 minutes? We can have a chat about all sorts of things, can't we? Obviously, I want to know everything that you've been up to. I saw some of you on Mustard's live stream, and congratulations to him for a jolly successful one. Oh gosh, how many channel members did he pick up? Double figures, I think it was, wasn't it? Goodness gracious me. So jolly well done indeed. The video is a bit fuzzy. Right, okay. The video is a bit fuzzy. Right, there's a very strong chance that could be as a result of dodgy internet. The wind is absolutely howling out there. If I wasn't on microphone, you'd actually hear it. So it's probably dodgy internet, but I'll give you a wipe. Just in case. There you go. Let's see how that goes. Now, what you may wish to talk about, and we certainly had quite a lively little discussion in the Facebook group about it today. Russell Brand, that hateful, horrible excuse for a human being, had his YouTube channel, had the monetization on his YouTube channel suspended today. What do we think about that? I have some very strong opinions, which are very firmly held. Now then, let's see who have we got. Steve Colg is with us. Fantastic. Trace the Greenwood, good evening to you. Barry is here and says, good evening all. I can't be asked to watch it. I might watch it at some point in the future. Fair enough. He didn't say that. He's too busy. He's got stuff going on. He's in a completely different time zone. Oh, Joe is still with us, by the way, and still got a sense of humor. I did message him last night and got a reply, and he sends his love to you all and his thanks, and he says that you're all amazing people, and he was delighted and proud to have had the chance to unexpectedly, having stumbled upon us, spend that time with us, and he was very grateful that you welcomed him in the way that you all did. So there we go. That's nice, and I will keep you updated. Joe is here. Cars with JC. Good evening, all. How's everyone doing? Skick is here. Fantastic. Cheeseburger is here. Oh, deep joy. It says evening, all. Trey says evening, chaps and chapesses. Neil is here, also known as the Gibbonator. And good evening, all. How the devil are we? Says Neil. Ashley Stewart is here. Evening, all. Oh, this is wonderful. What a fabulous collection of people. Cheeseburger asks, has anyone seen Tom's video tonight of the prototypes rotting at Longbridge? Well, it's been doing the rounds, hasn't it? I haven't seen it. We can talk about that as well if you like. Dan Peters is here and says, well, hello, sir. I join you on this rather windy night. It certainly is rather windy, and thank you very much for joining us. It's lovely to see you, Dan. Neil did see that video, and he says it's a bloody shame that history is literally rotting away. What cars are for sale now, Boat? Asked Skick. Okay, what cars are for sale? The 620, the 623, the Streetwise, the 45, the 414, the MGTF, and the other Streetwise. There you go. One question, if I may, says Dan. You may have as many questions as you like. What meal should be eaten in an MG midget? Gosh, what meal should be eaten in an MG midget? Well, personally, I would struggle to eat any meal in an MG midget because I don't fit in the bloody things very well. And there would be scarcely any room left over for food. So if it was me eating in an MG midget, I'd have to hope that there was no passenger. Or actually, okay, I can answer this. The meal that should be eaten in an MG midget, and let's assume that we're on the hoof, we're eating on the hoof, i.e. on the move. The meal that should be eaten in an MG midget is a hamburger Happy Meal. That would be my answer to that. That is my go-to on-the-road snack. If I haven't got time to stop, but if I'm on a long drive and I need a bit of a snack or a light lunch or whatever, I'm quite the fan of the Happy Meal because the Happy Meal can be eaten while driving perfectly safely, using only one hand. And, you know, I mean, obviously for a full-size person, there's not really enough food there, but you could add an extra hamburger or cheeseburger, your choice really, or one of those chicken burger things. So yeah, that would be my answer. I can't, especially if there's two of you in there, and especially if you're driving, I can't, yeah, I mean, there's not enough room to deploy much else, is there? I mean, certainly if you're me, if you're of a smaller variety, there might be more room. Ben is here. Evening, fellow boatistas. Good evening to you. And Tracy says, hello, Ben. Or should I say Tracy, as per usual, lol. Rose _ peach cheeks, open bracket, Tracy's afterburn, suspension marks, close bracket, tripemonger. Oh, God almighty. Evening all, says Otter MG. And yes, a sad sight at Longbridge. Oh, Ben says, is mine host live yet? I'm getting the swirl of sanguination. Yeah, and I haven't had said swirl. So I think it must just be you. Okay. Diddly-do, diddly-do, diddly-do. Splendid. Right, well, Neil and Skick are having a good old chat about cam belts. Ben's going to restart, so he hasn't got the clanging circle of doom. Cheeseburger has changed his quality to 720 and says that Boaty is crystal clear. And then being Cheeseburger, he can't help but add, I'm going back to 144 in a minute. Good answer, says Dan. I like that. Skick says Macca's is better than Burger King by far, don't you think? Oh, well, now there's an interesting one. There's an interesting one. Right, Burger King versus McDonald's. Okay, well, I will give you my considered thoughts. Now, I'm a fan of a Whopper. I can't deny it. Oh, Paul Smortion is commenting on one of the videos. Well, what I don't like about Burger King is their corporate tactic of when they have a restaurant in, and I should preface all of this by saying that I don't eat in. I haven't had a Burger King for about, I can tell you the last Burger King I had. It would be about 16 months ago, and it was on the way back from collecting Stigbürt von Thündercock. And that is the last time that I had a Burger King. And that leads me on to my issue with Burger King. I mean, it's expensive anyway, but they've got a corporate policy of when they have a restaurant here somewhere where they've like got you as a confined audience, like an airport or a motorway services, like I ate at coming back from Stigbürt, they hike the prices up. And I don't like that. That's kind of taking advantage. That's really, nah, it's cynical to me, and it doesn't sit well with me. Whereas McDonald's, as far as I'm aware, their prices are kind of standard. So, which is better? Which is better? Which is better? I mean, the other thing I like about McDonald's is that you can get a good cup of coffee without having your trousers and pants taken down and being bent over, as would happen if you went into not that I've been into any of these places, a Costa or a Starbucks. I haven't been into those since I was living in the States. Oh, unless Boo dragged me into one. Boo was a big fan of Costa. I just think it's a hell of a lot of money for a cup of coffee with a stupid bloody name. I mean, I have a large black coffee. Now, I don't particularly give a shit if you want to call that an Americano and add £2 under the price. I like McDonald's. You can go in, you can hand over a quid when you're on a journey. Because, I mean, let's face it, you wouldn't go to McDonald's unless you were on a journey, would you? Unless you're on a journey, you're going to have a better option than McDonald's, either cooking at home or cooking outside or going somewhere. McDonald's is a road trip thing, isn't it? And I do like a cheeky McDonald's. But, McDonald's versus Burger King. All things being equal, I would take a Whopper over a Big Mac, I think. Except that Whoppers are very difficult to eat. They kind of fall apart in your hands and they make a lot of mess and you never have enough napkins. Do you know what? I'm just going to go McDonald's. McDonald's have got their corporate act together. They've got a good app. They give out lots of offers. It's convenient to order with those touchy screen machines. You can get it delivered to your table. You can customize all of your food. When did I have McDonald's? Oh, I had one with Steve, didn't I, when we were doing the Jag review? And I had a Big Mac with no cheese and extra pickles, as a meal with fries and Diet Coke. And I had a side salad with that rather nice balsamic dressing that they do. And yeah, McDonald's. I mean, I like a Whopper. I do like a Whopper. But everything else about Burger King is disappointing. You always have to wait too long. The food is not always as hot as it could be. It's too damned expensive. And the Whopper will just fall apart on you. And you'll end up eating it in bits and pieces, getting ketchup and mayonnaise all over your donnies. Unless things have changed. As I say, it's been about 16 months since I ate in one. The fries aren't amazing, although McDonald's aren't either. And are they both better than KFC? I don't know. I would say that I'm going to go McDonald's. I'm going to plumb for McDonald's. It's convenient. It's reliable. I think it's tasty. I do think it's tasty. and the pricing is not as cynical. But yeah, do share your own thoughts on that. Where did I get to? Lots of cars to sell, says Joe. Brilliant news. Yeah, we've got enough cars now. We've got, that doesn't mean that we will buy as many more as we possibly can. So I was a little bit annoyed with Mustard when he said again, he said on Monday, he said, I made a mistake. I said that, I've got enough cars now. And we almost didn't get this car because he said, well, I saw you saying that you didn't want any more cars. You had enough. He said, so I made a mistake doing that. And then he bloody well did it again on his Monday video saying, we've got enough cars. We have never got enough cars. All right. If there is a suitable car going, we will buy it. I don't care if there's room in the yard or not. If there's no room in the yard, I'll put it here. If there's no room here, I'll put it at the restaurant. I will always find room for stock. So don't listen to silly Mustard when he says we've got enough cars. We haven't. You have to think a little bit bigger. And if we're going to try and genuinely earn a couple of bob out of this to prop up our YouTube channels, then we're going to need to get our heads around the idea of doing some numbers. And to sell in numbers, you need to buy in numbers. So rest assured, we will always have our buying boots on. Burger King is nice, says Dan, but not at today's prices. You need a second mortgage just for a meal and not very much food for the massive outlay. Neil says, never done it for me, Burger King. I haven't had one for about 2 years. Oh, you've beaten me. Skick says, last time I went to Burger King, they put the burger in the microwave. Never been back since. The one thing I will say for Burger King is they came up with probably the best advert I've ever seen. Now, as most of you know, my academic background is in 3 parts: marketing, economics, and law. Because I didn't know what I wanted to do and I couldn't decide. So I did the old 3 degrees, didn't I? But marketing, I have a massive interest in all of those subjects, but marketing arguably particularly so. Not academically. I didn't enjoy studying marketing academically. I found it a nonsense, quite honestly, because I don't believe that marketing is an academic thing. I think that marketing comes down to genius, actually. I think it comes down to creative genius, having a different spark about you and around you. And I don't think that that's anything that you can study. So I suppose that you could become more adept at marketing through study. You could pick up some tricks, but I don't believe that studying marketing will ever give you a breakthrough moment. I think that comes from a creative genius spark, and that's not something that you can learn in university. But yeah, Burger King came out with what I consider to be one of the best adverts of all time. It was genius. And it was at a time that McDonald's marketing was very heavily based around the character of Ronald McDonald. He's a very peculiar clown. I'm sure you will remember him. You might remember the Hamburglar as well and so on. But McDonald's marketing at that point in time, at that period in history, was very heavily based around that character. And Burger King came out with this genius advert, and it was a poster advert, and there was no wording on it, and it wasn't television, not radio, anything like that. And all it was a picture of a Burger King counter with a queue, and in the middle of the queue, Ronald McDonald. And I thought that was genius. I remember the first time I saw that, and it literally made me stop in my tracks and think, whoever came up with that, whichever agency came up with that, And whichever member of that agency came up with that, I hope he got fucking well paid, because that is genius. And I've shared before that my other greatest admiration for a marketing coup, and it genuinely was a coup. I can't remember the company, but it was a company that manufactured shampoos, as well as no doubt other things. And some advertising genius, either an individual or an agency, it's always going to come down to an individual, let's face it, doubled that company's profitability by adding 2 words to the packaging of the shampoo. Whereas previously it said, lather into scalp and rinse, he just added and repeat. 2 words, meaning that everybody suddenly started using twice the amount of shampoo. Ergo, sales double. Genius. Absolute bloody genius. Apparently in Scotland, says Otter MG, McDonald's sell iron brew. Can anyone confirm this? I can't. I haven't been to Scotland for too long. I love Scotland. I would love to spend some more time there. I'd love to do that North Coast 500 thing, but I've got no idea. I can confirm that way back in the day, they sold McDonald's cola and root beer. I like Burger King, says Cheeseburger, but it is expensive. Wendy's is rolling out across the UK if you like square burgers. I like McDonald's coffee. Always have one with a McDonald's. I wouldn't have one with a McDonald's lunch. I always have Diet Coke. I mean, coffee's a morning thing, isn't it? I'm not one of those people. Like Mrs. Boaty, the artist formerly known as Mrs. Boaty, would happily drink coffee all through the day. Boo would drink 64 million cups of tea throughout the day, like Mustard does. In fact, they would have gone on very well, except that Boo was like about 5'1" and size 6. So, Mustard would have liked her as a person, but he wouldn't have been attracted to her because whatever the acronym that you lot came up with, too skinny for mustard or whatever the hell it was, Boo was most definitely that. Yes, he would not have had the immediate urge to administer a podgering, whereas I always did. She was a very sexy woman, was Boo, and she knew it. And whenever I was in her, I always got an immediate urge to administer a jolly good podgering. Dear me. Anyway, I don't need to be talking about that. We're talking about Burger King, aren't we? What were we talking about, Burger King? I have 2 cups of coffee in the morning, and that's it. And that's it for the day. I wouldn't have. Occasionally, very occasionally. I've started having a coffee at the yard since I gave Mustard the Tassimo, which was really a gift to myself, so I could have a cup of coffee at the yard. But generally speaking, I have 2 coffees in the morning. They're the first drink of the day. Oh, apart from a mouthful of juice, and then that is it for the day. I wouldn't usually countenance coffee at any other point. It's a morning thing. I kind of don't. Just no. 2 in the morning, couldn't cope without them. I mean, I can cope without them, but I'm not happy. And I've made sure that since the last time when I did have to cope without them, I've started ordering my Tassimo pods from Amazon in bulk. So I order a bloody great thing at a time, and I get a monthly delivery, which means A, you get a slight discount, and B, you never run out. Costa to meal. Yeah, Dan agrees that Costa is it's just too expensive for a cup of coffee. Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. I don't really get it. When I was in the States, I used to do the Starbucks thing because it was a bit trendy. And also, bear in mind, I first went out to live in the States in 2001. And good coffee in the home wasn't as prevalent as it is now. I'm not sure if a Tassimo existed then or similar. If it did, I wasn't aware of it. I mean, in those days, you were talking about the old coffee percolators, weren't you, and so on. And they weren't enormously convenient, let's be honest. Most of us had one. Most of us only used to deploy it at dinner parties. And served it with the cheese board or whatever, and the rest of the time we survived on god awful instant coffee. God knows how. I mean, it's the most instant coffee is just the worst thing ever. I mean, it's just coloured water. Okay, some were less awful than others. I was brought up in a house where Nescafe Original was the cafe de jour. And I thought you couldn't get any worse than that until I went to my first coaches, Joe Curtis. Well, he was my first official coach. My dad was my first coach, and my dad always was my coach. But I remember going to my Coach Joe's static caravan somewhere near Bilth Wells on the Ryder Mountain Road or just off it. And he made coffee with something called camp coffee. And that taught me that there is indeed something worse than original Nescafe. So I moved on smoothly to Gold Blend, probably swayed by a television advert. And I ended up with Carte Noire. And I stuck with that until I discovered that you could make decent coffee nicely and easily at home with a Tassimo or with a pod machine of your choice. But yeah, back in those days, it was a bit of a treat to go in somewhere and get decent coffee. But when you can have a decent coffee at home dead easily now, who the arse in hell wants to go into some snobby, stupid place that's not actually snobby at all? It's full of chavs wearing tracksuits and pay £4 something for a cup of average coffee with a stupid bloody name. No, thank you. Joe says McDonald's is a cheap and easy meal. I don't think it's cheap. I don't think McDonald's is cheap. I mean, it depends what you used to pay. Now, I would have said in the past that McDonald's was cheap. Because, well, imagine you're going on a date, or, well, imagine anything. If you go to a McDonald's and paid, back in the day then, paid £4 for an extra value meal, that's obviously incredibly cheap compared to going to Le Manoir Quatre Saisons, Raymond Blanc's place, and paying £500 for a meal for two. So, but now that my average budget for a meal that I cook myself is £1, if not less, then to me, a McDonald's is bloody expensive. But, we'll let that go. I mean, I'm not typical in that my disposable income isn't just low, it's a bloody minus figure. So I'm sure to most people, McDonald's would qualify as a cheap meal. And I wouldn't argue that it's an easy meal. Well, actually, I would. If you're driving to a motorway services, yeah, it's easy. If you're in a town centre, yeah, it's easy. If I had all the money in the world and I thought, shall I have a McDonald's for lunch here, then I would end up not having it because the McDonald's isn't easy for me. I can't get one delivered because I live in the sticks. And it's a right old schlep down the hill into town if I wanted to go and get one. So, but yeah, I take your point, Joe. I'm quibbling. Burger King has never done it for me personally, he goes on, and KFC haven't had it for a very long time. Neil says McDonald's changed their stuff everywhere. In Spain, you can get beer and wedges. Yeah, they do tailor their menu for individual countries. That's very much true. When I was living in Ukraine, there was a McDonald's in Ukraine. Only the one, and it was in Kyiv, and I didn't recognize anything on the bloody menu, to be honest with you. Even in France, the menu is quite different. Cheeseburger says Tesco meal deal is £3.50 to include a Costa. A Costa is £2.50 on its own. How does that work? How do you get a Costa in Tesco? Don't get that. Dan says, have you tried those fake imitation Big Mac things from Aldi? Well, if that's aimed at me, Dan, no, I haven't, because now I know that I'm poor. However, there are limits. And as poor as I am, I will not go into an Aldi or a Lidl, because in my warped mind, and I have this argument at work, at the restaurant, they love Lidl, and they will sometimes say when it's busy, would you mind going to Lidl to get this, that, or the other? And I will say, yes, I would mind, and I will not go. However, I will go and get the equivalent item from Sainsbury's. And they say, what? And they couldn't understand why. And I eventually explained it to them. Now, Nepali, like many Asians, have a very active caste system. And it's a very, very real thing. And we've spoken about this before. It's been on videos. Sabana's talked about it. And you can't change your caste. You're born with it. You can't alter it. You can't become a higher caste. And your caste will limit everything about your life. What you can do, what you can eat, who you can marry, where you can visit, who you can spend time with, all of that. And I eventually explained it to them by saying that, look, Lidl and Aldi are for sake. If you are bound, highest class, you must not go into Lidl and Aldi. You must go to Sainsbury's or Waitrose, or ideally Fortnum's or Harvey Nicks or Harrods. And they got it then. They got it then, although they did say that I couldn't be bound because I eat pork. And I said, I don't eat pork. And they said, do you eat bacon? I said, in theory, haven't eaten it for years. You can't be bound then. I said, I bloody well can, and I am. But yeah, the little bit of snob that is left in me won't allow me to go into Aldi or Lidl. So yeah, I haven't tried those fake imitation Big Mac things. Cheeseburger says, you don't wait too long at Burger King in Redditch. It's always empty. Goes cold quickly as well. Burger King in Redditch. I can't remember if there's one if there used to be one in the Kingfisher Centre. Didn't there used to be a Burger King up on, they turned it into a little industrial estate. You turn left off the island going onto the ring road. You went up that steep little hill, and then there was a little, what became an industrial park. Didn't that used to be Burger King? Oh, or was that KFC? Might have been KFC. Where was Burger King then? I can't remember where the Burger King was in Redditch. Now, when we had a Burger King at the showrooms, I used to go down the motorway to Junction. Well, we were Junction 3. Oh, so it would have been Junction 2. And I used to go to Hopwood Services and get the Burger King from there. Skick says, I prefer Starbucks over Costa. But again, Mackey's do a good coffee stroke hot chocolate for a great deal cheaper. Starbucks is more pricey, says Neil, but you do get a better product, I must say. Get you. Get you, you discerning coffee drinker, you. I can't remember what Starbucks is like. I remember that when I eventually moved back from the States permanently, I commuted for a while. And when I came back permanently, when Robin and I finally had the big fallout after we had an argument, she sodded off to Vegas with two of her business partners, and I accidentally tripped up, and my penis ended up in her personal assistant. Yeah, didn't go down well. Well, it went down well with the personal assistant. It didn't go down very well with Robin. And when I came back, I actually bought a shed load of Starbucks coffee beans and an electric coffee bean grinder so that I could carry on having my Starbucks at home when I was living in Cook Hill then. And of course, first I bought an adapter, plugged it in, it blew up and fused the house. So that went well. Oh, somebody's just done a nice thing. Oh, Neil has gifted a membership. Let's scroll forward and see who's copped for that, shall we? Rob Streetwise was gifted a membership by Neil Gibbons. Neil, that's incredibly kind of you. And who is Rob Streetwise? Which Rob is that? I'm confused by an embarrassment of Robs. I keep getting my Robs mixed up. I mean, Rob Hedgehog, I thought was Rob B&B for ages. Which one is Rob Streetwise? Anyway, he's now a channel member, thanks to Neil being incredibly generous. Thank you very much, Neil. And Rob, welcome to channel membership. Let's get back to where I was. Oh, God. Right. Don't judge me. I've just had a thing flash up. I was talking with my driver at work, right? And my driver, he's a lovely guy. His name is Andy. Neil, Soph, Joe, you might even meet him next weekend. And he's a lovely guy. He's how can I say this? He's older than me. He smokes even more than I do. He's got COPD. He coughs and wheezes, and he won't give up smoking. I think he's self-employed, and he's a joiner. And yeah, he was telling me about Plenty of Fish, the dating app, of which I was aware. I mean, I've run a singles network for 8 years now. I've owned a dating website, an actual dating. I still own it. It's not active, but I still own it. And I still own the license and all of the rights to it and everything. So of course I'm aware of POF, and he's going on about all these women that he's talking to on it. And this, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I thought, well, if you're getting all of that action on Plenty of Fish, then, maybe I might get a little bit of interest. Now, I'm not interested in dating. Not interested. Absolutely. I mean, why would I want to ruin what is a very happy life? I'm perfectly happy with things as they are, although I'd like a bit more Bernard in my life, if I'm quite honest. But I thought, well, if I signed up to Plenty of Fish and put a link to the YouTube channel, I might get the odd female subscriber and even up my male-female balance a bit, which I'm not as bad as Mustard, but I'm still incredibly male-heavy. Mustard is almost exclusively male. Most of the channels that are in some way related to cars are. So I signed up to Plenty of Fish the night before last. Bloody hell. Bloody hell. I haven't been on an internet dating site for a long, long, long time. I used to be a massive fan of them in my 30s. I met, oh God, well, I met all of my women through them, particularly a site called Udate. Udate brought me Chinese Madam 1, Chinese Madam 2, Robin, Chicago, Lena, Ukraine. The woman that I actually married came off Udate. Lisa, of course, who in many ways was the absolute love of my life. They all came from not just, well, they all came from one particular website, Udate. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But, you know, that was quite a long time ago, and I've not done the dating website since. I went down my own route. I opened my own, started my singles network, and, you know, since I started singles, then all of the women came from there. You know, the notable ones, the long-termers being Boo, obviously, Chinese Madam. Yeah, Chinese Madam came from the singles network. So yeah, the dating website thing, bloody hellfire. I signed up to Plenty of Fish with prominent links to the YouTube channels. That's all that it's about. Bloody hell. I mean, I don't know what it's like if you're a woman, but if you're a bloke, I mean, I have had a lot of interest, but it's not good for your ego. I don't know what's worse. I mean, I'll pick out a couple. Okay. I had a message from, this is going to sound awful, and I don't mean it to. I had a message from a 62-year-old lady. And not, you know, we're not talking about like a Tina Turner or what's her face, the one who was shagging Hugh Grant. Looks amazing for her age. What's her name? Oh, I can't remember her name, but she looks amazing. No, we're talking about somebody who looks like what we back in the day imagined the 62-year-old lady to look like. She looks like a bloody grandma. I mean, bless her. No disrespect, but I've got this grandma sending me quite provocative messages to which I haven't replied. She doesn't need any encouragement, this one. And I'm thinking, well, bloody hell. I mean, bless you, Mrs. Old Lady, Mrs. Brady, she's an old age pensioner, for Christ's sake. And I'm thinking, well, you know, are you just being overly optimistic, or is that where I am now? If I were to put myself properly back in the dating market, would I have to think about pottering 62-year-old women? Because I'm not ready for that yet. I mean, I know I'm past it, don't get me wrong, but bear in mind that my last long-term partner was, well, by the time we split up, she was a 32-year-old Chinese stunner. I mean, have I genuinely jumped straight from that into where I've got to look at old age pensioners? I mean, and I genuinely don't mean any disrespect. So that was a bit of a shocker. But what was even worse was a message from a 60-year-old. So I don't know what the rules are. I'm being old now. But in my mind, 60 years old is retirement age for a lady. I mean, I know it probably isn't now. I know it's probably 89 or something ridiculous. But a 60-year-old woman. Oh, and the artist formerly known as Mrs. Boaty, she turned 60 on her birthday in August, which is on a day in August. Yeah, it is definitely, you know, I don't know what day. I couldn't remember when we were sodding married. I definitely can't remember now. I got married on my birthday, so I wouldn't forget her anniversary. Obviously, I would get reminders of her birthday from the children, or from Facebook, or from my mother, or from somebody. But, you know, I don't know what it is now. I want to say the 23rd, but I think that was my mother's. Hers might have been the 11th, or that could have been somebody else's. I don't know. But the point is that last month, she turned 60. That's a bit of a sobering thought. She was older than me, obviously, by 8 years. But I got a message from a 60-year-old, so an old age pensioner, in other words, right? And it wasn't the artist formerly known as Mrs. Boaty. But I got a message from a 60-year-old saying, you were very, very appealing until I saw that you smoked. So sorry, but it's a no from me. Good luck. And I thought, well, I mean, you arrogant cow. I mean, you can't say that it's a no from you because I didn't ask. You've approached me. And B, what made you think you'd have been in with a chance anyway? I mean, this is what I'm getting all paranoid. I know I'm falling apart, but Jesus Christ. I mean, do I look like a man whose only option is an old age pensioner who fancies somebody to take them down the bloody bingo? It's a right sobering experience. Dear oh dear, I hope I'm getting some pissing subscribers. Oh, I've just had a thought. If any of them have subscribed and they're watching this, I'm going to get in all sorts of trouble now, aren't I? Oh, dear, dear, dear. Oh, God almighty. I mean, obviously, all the time I've been running singles, people bang on about internet dating. God, I can see what they mean now. And it must be worse for women. You know, there must be a whole plethora of beautiful women in their prime, in their late 30s, with sad old 64-year-old men sending them saying, you look nice, darling. I'd love to take you down our local chip shop for the OAP special. You can get fish and chips for £5.45. Anyway, don't forget to like, says Otter MG, and that's a very kind reminder. Blackline says, I've not had McDonald's or anything similar since 2010, when I first started getting anxiety attacks. Went on a bit of a diet change to see if that would help and just didn't go back. Good for you, sir. I love Costa personally, says Joe. Does anyone remember Bodger and Badger? Asks Dan. To which Cheeseburger says, Bodger and Badger, is that Mustard and Boaty? I don't know what Bodger and Badger is. The name rings a bell. I'm vaguely aware that they're a thing, but I don't actually know what they are. Skick says, I remember as a child walking with Mum through town when Mackey's first opened, and she said that will never catch on. A restaurant just selling beef burgers. My story on that is, again, from the artist formerly known as Mrs. Boaty, who turned 60 last month. God above. Imagine if we were still married. I'd be married to an OAP. She still looks good. The birthday thing just came into my mind this morning. So I stalked her Facebook profile. And she looks pretty good for 60. She always looked good, did the artist formerly known as Mrs. Boaty. Apart from when she went through a period. Oh, no, I can't say that. I'll whisper it. She went through a period where she let herself go a bit. And there were a few months when she was a bit hefty. But she soon got back on top of it. I know you're not allowed to say that sort of thing anymore. And, you know, I know it makes me a total hypocrite because I'm also a bit hefty. Well, more than a bit. But, you know, I'm old. I'm a hypocrite. Shoot me. Don't shoot me. Shoot Russell Brand instead. He deserves it. Has anybody spoken about that? Just to put it on the live stream record, it's in the Facebook group. I agree with my good friend Steve that, yeah, a man is innocent until proven guilty, which a lot of people were saying. But Steve pointed out that Hitler was never found guilty in a court of law. Neither was Fred West and neither was Jimmy Savile. And it doesn't stop us hating them. And Steve also pointed out very astutely that before you publish any allegations of the nature that have been published against Russell Brand, you have to jump through a lot of legal loopholes, not loopholes, a lot of legal hurdles, jump over a lot of legal hurdles, because you're putting yourself up there for some massive, massive lawsuits. So, and as Steve pointed out, if you get two major broadcasting names putting their names to these allegations and publishing them, you can be damn certain that they're true. You can be certain that they're true. They wouldn't dare do it otherwise. So, and then Steve went on to point out that he's an absolute socket and always has been, and he deserves everything that's coming to him. And I totally agree with that. And I hope that his life is utterly, utterly ruined. Not just that he gets a bit cancelled or that he loses a few quid here and there. I hope his life becomes genuinely awful. I hope that he goes to prison, and I hope that he has an absolutely rotten time. And I hope that everybody, even the people who've been, for Christ knows what reason, defending him, I hope they all hate him. I hope he becomes an absolute social pariah, because he is a hideous, hideous human being. There, I'm glad I got that on my chest. I, said Cheeseburger, used to work in an office with a free coffee machine. I would get through double digits. I only have 1 cup a day now with lunch. With lunch? Why would you have coffee with lunch? It's a first thing in the morning thing, surely. Surely first thing in the morning you need that hot caffeine boost. Oh, mornings are dreadful without a decent cup of coffee. I can't imagine having one with lunch. I mean, lunch is a glass of water, a glass of Vimto, Diet Coke if you're not paying, or, you know, if you're not working that day and you've got pottering lined up that afternoon, a glass of wine. Not coffee. Gone off, KFC, says Skick. It stinks of dirty fat. Plus, last time I went, I ordered 2 pieces of chicken and they gave me 2 effing drumsticks. Right, dear me. Cheeseburger says American Coffee. Anyone else thinking Pulp Fiction? I've never seen that. Should I watch it? You know me, I don't watch films. Oh, there was a film. Oh, right. Now, Pulp Fiction, that was Quentin Tarantino, right? Okay. I half watched a bit of a Quentin Tarantino film. I think I've told you about when I was at Portway, there was a girl that worked in Weather Oak service station who everybody was after, and nobody got anywhere with her, myself included. And then one fabulous evening, she was working in the petrol station. Everybody tried it on with her. She was stunning, absolutely stunning. And one day I'd been out somewhere, hadn't gone well. Normally I would get back to my flat at like above the showrooms at like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that. Whatever had happened that night, and I can't remember where I was or what had happened, it clearly hadn't gone well because I was going back home before pub closing time. That never happened. And I thought, well, I can't possibly go home to the flat before the pubs are closed. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. That would just, no, that's just not on. But I was nearly home. So I thought, I'll go into the Horse and Jockey. I don't think I'd ever been in there. Cheeseburger, I'm right, aren't I? I think you told me it's closed now, because I know I've told this story before. It's the one underneath the underpass, underneath the dual carriageway. And so I went in there, and she was in there with her mate, the petrol station girl, lady. And we ended up chatting and bought them a few drinks, and we ended up all going back to mine. And there was going to be that awkward period where, you know, is it going to happen or is it not? And so we put the telly on. I had a telly on in those days. I had a telly rather, and we watched, or they watched. I plotted and fetched drinks. A Quentin Tarantino film, and I don't know if it was Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction or what, I don't know what the hell it was. I think John Revolting was in it, and a black chap with a perm, I think. And yeah, I mean, it was just that settling in period of time until, you know, whatever it is, you know, enough drink has gone down, or it's late enough at night that, yeah, we are all actually going to go to bed together. And as I told you before, I'd been seen going home, word had got round, and when the three of us trooped out the next morning, it was as if I'd got married. There was a line both sides outside my gate, and I got a standing ovation, which was embarrassing. But yeah, that's so I might have seen a bit of Pulp Fiction, but it might have been the other one. £5 for a meal is cheap, personally, says Joe. That's nice. Some serious gourmet shit, says Neil. £5 per person soon mounts up once you have a family, though, says Black Line's quite right. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, things can seem cheap when you're on your own or there's just two of you. But, and I can tell you from experience, when you've got 4 kids in tow, it's like going to Alton Towers or something like that. If you've got a missus and 4 kids, something like Alton Towers or Blackpool or whatever becomes really expensive. I'm so sorry. I used to like the McDonald's breakfast, says Skik. But for some strange reason, used to feel like crap after it. It was rubbish. I had one once. A bacon roll, a hash brown, and a coffee. It was absolutely pants. The bacon roll was dry and boring and horrible. A hash brown on its own is no good. You need egg and beans or sausage or something with it. Just a hash brown? Oh, no. No, I thought it was absolute crap. I love Lidl, says Joe. So cheap, apart from having your shopping launched at you. Cheeseburger went into an Aldi in the USA, even more basic than the UK. Oh, and Joe doesn't like Aldi. Oh, God, he's getting discerning. So Lidl is okay, but not Aldi. Cheeseburger says Aldi special buys are good, especially the non-food stuff like power tools. I've heard that. I remember, again, going back to the Portway days, Richard, when Richard was still there, before he made his money through Portway and through Teton and went out to Spain with his family and set up the radio station there and just concentrated on being rich and having a wonderful life. When he and I were both living in Cook Hill and we were both running Portway, the Aldi or Lidl or whatever it was that was in Redditch at the time had one of those middle aisle things where they had a stunning barbecue. And even in those days, it was like, whatever it was, like a 400 quid barbecue, and they had it for like 130 quid. And Richard said, right, I need one of those, because it was the best available. And Richard was a man who liked the best available. And he rang them up and he said, have you got these in stock? And they said, yes. He said, could you reserve one for me? I'll be in this afternoon. And they said something like, these are £130. Do you really think that with our customers, we're going to sell out anytime soon? That genuinely happened. And sure enough, he didn't reserve it. He did go along later that day and they were all still there. In those days, the people who went into Lidl or Aldi didn't have 130 quid to spend on a barbecue. I mean, 130 quid bought you a car with an MOT then. Neil says, I had some drill bits from Aldi. They were decent enough. I love Aldi, says Black Lines. Some excellent stuff in there. Saves a fortune. Yeah, but you have to mix with the wrong sort of people. And everybody will think that you're one of them and that you're poor. And you have to stand in a a queue next to dreadful people with a trolley jammed full of chicken nuggets for 49p. You know, oh God, I hate it. I mean, I am a terrible snob, which is ridiculous given that I live in poverty, but the snobbery remains. Hello, everyone, says Ross. How are we all? I'm a bit dusty this morning. I do remember you and Mustard in Aldi. Look at all this. Look at all this stuff, you cried, looking all through the special buys. Yeah, there was a video where Mustard dragged me into Aldi, and of course I hadn't been in before. I actually bought something. I was fascinated by the middle aisles with all of this. And I bought a picnic thing. And apparently, according to Mustard, he said I was lucky to get out of there without getting the shit kicked out of me. Because apparently I was a bit loud and a bit inappropriate and a bit sarcastic. He said, I can't believe that somebody didn't kick the shit out of you in there. He said, I was just waiting for it to happen. I remember that video. I was actually videoing it, and I couldn't use 90% of the footage for some reason. I was trying to film kind of covertly. I didn't want to make it obvious I was filming. And wherever I had my phone, there was too much background noise, and I just couldn't use it, which is a shame because that was really funny. Blackline says, Lidl is where you go to buy some yogurt and come out with a trumpet, a set of axle stands, and a new dressing gown. I quite like that idea. It's like the motorway service station shop, isn't it? When you come out with, you go in for a packet of crisps and you come out with a torch with the power of 1,000,000 candles and a folding chair. I picked up, says Otter MG, a cheapo soldering iron in Aldi about 8 years ago. Still works a treat. And haven't had to change the tip yet. I think it was £6. Burger King in Redditch, says Cheeseburger. The one in Kingfisher has been closed for years, still empty. Burger King is on the retail park by Halfords, the old KFC unit. God, where's Halfords in Redditch? I can't even think. That's scary. I would have been there 1,000,000 times, surely. No, I genuinely can't remember. Neil says, apparently Costco coffee beans are Starbucks. Oh, it was in the Netflix series where they sort of exposed their secrets. And Joe said, I watched that too. Night All, says Ashley. Neil says, Boaty's Tinder profile would be gold. Right, I think that's why I'm getting a bit of attention, because my POF profile, I think it's quite funny. Actually, I think it's really funny. Maybe I should try Tinder as well. Ross says, not sure about Iron Brew and McDonald's, but 10 Club king size and a bottle of Iron Brew is their staple diet. Liz Hurley, thank you, Skip. That was a lady. She looks fabulous. Joe says, I've got to get some sleep. He's got my bus medical tomorrow, so another early morning motorway trip. Good luck, Joe. Thank you for stopping in and joining us. Cheeseburger says, great news. We're all going to get plenty of female attention now. Boaty is promoting on the web. God. Grab a granny, says Cheeseburger. Try the Tower Ballroom. It used to be the Hen and Chickens in wherever the Hen and Chickens was. As Frank Skinner memorably said, Chris Collins, his real name is, he's a nice guy. As he said, not attractive women, but a lovely breakfast. Video title, just turned 50, you get your free bus pass. Neil says, I met Soph on Tinder. Dropped her a super like and she ignored me. I'm not reading that one out, Cheeseburger. I'm not reading that one out, Neil. Blackline says, once you go grey, there's no other way. I'm not reading that out, Otter MG. I'm not reading that out, Nathan, but welcome to the live stream. Oh my God, Nathan. What a comment to come in with. As far as I'm aware, that is your first comment on one of my live streams. And that is a pretty bloody memorable one. I'm going to screenshot that. Neil, I'm not reading that one out either. John Stoodley says, hey, Boaty, hey, chat. Good evening, all. Good evening to you. I'm not reading that one out, Skick. I'm not going to read that one out either, Neil. Trey says, women don't even have to be on dating sites or show interest to get refusals. I'm not paying you a penny, and I wouldn't marry you if I was desperate. Both from men I don't know. Oh, bloody hell. I'm not reading that one out. I'm not reading that one out. Cheeseburger says, Brand. A few people are saying, without proof, that Katy Perry might hold the key to all this. Whoever holds the key, I'm just glad it's happening. He's been hiding in plain sight for far too long. Okay, now we're talking about, but you were working as a cashier in a petrol station. The Human League should record that one. Skick says, love Pulp Fiction, but could watch Wild Geese and Where Eagles Dare over and over again. Love Richard Burton. Well, Richard Burton is, of course, one of probably my absolute hero from a couple of villages down the valley, Pontrydyfen. Richard Jenkins, of course, to give him the name that he was born with. Oh, God. Horse and Jockey closed, now used to sell motorhomes from the car park. John Travolta was Pulp Fiction. Broadsword calling Danny Boy. I can't do that. I can't do a Neil. I can't do a Richard Burton. I can do a Dylan Thomas, but I can't do a Richard Burton, which is silly. I should be able to. Anyone see that Disney was closed yesterday because of a black bear? I was there last Thursday, said Cheeseburger. I could have been eaten alive. Video title, shopping in budget supermarkets can be bad for your health. Helen Chicken's on the Wolverhampton Road. It's Chinese buffet now. Darlings, that is it. You're all sort of starting to head off to bed quite naturally. It's gone midnight. It's been great fun as always. You're seeing tomorrow's Daily Diary. I was talking about the live streams and how much they mean to me. And yeah, they've been a bit of a game changer for me. And maybe I say it too much, maybe I don't say it enough, but I am really grateful to you all. And to show my gratitude, I will now bugger off, leave you in peace, and leave you to get on with your night. So, where are we? Tuesday. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same place, 11 o'clock. There will be more. I will share any new messages from Plenty of Fish with you. I might even share my profile. Give you a laugh. But there we are, darlings. Yeah. Hope your day's been okay. I've had a hiding at home day. Woke up, looked at the weather, said, bugger that. I'm not going out. I'm not doing anything with the cars. It's an in the cot sort of day. And that's what it was. I didn't leave the cottage until I had to go out and go to work. So hopefully it did brighten up a bit tonight. And hopefully, hopefully tomorrow will be a little bit better. There are some bits and pieces that I'd like to start doing. Wetleg has her MOT now. She's got a full tank of fuel. I want to give her a proper good valet and clean up, get her back to where she should be. And then I want to crack on with Stigbürt, because Stigbürt and Brian will be the last two on the list. And when they're sorted, then my fleet is complete, up, running, job done, sorted. and I can get them settled in for the winter, and there we are. Anyway, stop talking. Let them go. Let the nice people go. Thank you for your company. Have a safe and peaceful night, guys. Take great care of yourselves. Have the best day that you can tomorrow. Much love from me, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow night. No. Bye-bye.